Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of Soul Land 3, Legend of the Dragon King Part 241. Without any delay, start explanation. Little Black, move aside. Tang Wulin felt the heat on his face as another figure flashed past. The blazing apricot cabbage whose beauty was unrivaled appeared before him. Choose me. My fighting capacity is the strongest amongst everyone. I can provide you with the purest flames to amplify your abilities and even add control to the fire element of your natural attributes. What are you all doing? Where's your dignity? The damask tulip roared in rage as he stopped the remaining three beasts that were about to rush over. He then walked over to Tang Wulin in big strides, and with both his hands, he pulled the little black and the blazing apricot cabbage away. The arrogance on his face vanished as he stood before Tang Wulin. I agree to do so. The rest of the five beasts immediately burst into an uproar as soon as he said that. What do you mean by, you agree to do so? The little black immediately pulled the damask tulip away. The blazing apricot cabbage was even angrier as she spoke. Little tulip, you're despicable. How could you do that? I have no qualms with those queries you proposed. The damask tulip sneered. I wonder who mentioned earlier that she still has 3,000 years of life, so she will never become a human spirit soul. The blazing apricot cabbage replied in a rage, how is that the same? He's the nature child. If we follow him, we can always cultivate with him as the root whenever. We don't need to face God's punishment under his protection. Even if faced with a downfall, he'll naturally transform into the nature ancient tree. As his companion, I'll naturally be reborn under the protection of the nature ancient tree. Who cares about 3,000 years of life when you can have immortality? The blazing apricot cabbage's words did not convince the damask tulip, but it enlightened Tang Wulin. Tang Wulin did not expect his nature child to have such an overpowering influence on these heaven and earth spirit items. Yi Xinglan, Xie Xie, Yuan and Yehui, and Yu Jingyu were stunned from witnessing this scenario at present. These beasts were quirky in that they went from wanting to kill the Shrek 7 monsters to fighting among themselves in order to be Tang Wulin's spirit soul. How quickly their attitudes changed had made some people flabbergasted. However, it seemed like this turn of events was a good thing. The damask tulip spoke to Tang Wulin, nature child, I can allow all of you to acquire one more spirit item each. Furthermore, I can tell you which type is the most precious. That's betraying your own friends for personal gain. Little tulip, have you no shame? Another beast dashed over furiously. The damask tulip gave a cold humph. All of you don't know a thing. Have you not discovered what his martial soul is? It's the blue-silver emperor, the same blue-silver emperor of Tang Sek's progenitor, Tang San. Tang San's first choice was me back in the beginning. As his descendant, the nature child should choose me. All of you better stop vying because you can't possibly triumph over me. As he was saying that, the damask tulip flashed once as a misty, purple halo was unleashed from his body instantly. The aura from the rest of the five beasts weakened tremendously. This ought to be the damask tulip's ability to suppress the other plants which he mentioned previously. Tang Wulin did not utter a word. As a wily person himself, he was well aware that remaining silent would be most beneficial under such circumstances. Little tulip, you can't act this way. The nature child is discovered by all of us together. This is an opportunity for us to gain our immortality. Aren't you a little selfish for wanting this all to yourself? The blazing apricot cabbage was outraged. Precisely. I can't stand this anymore, said the youth dressed in a blue robe who was the youngest amongst the six. Little Frozen, your predecessor had followed the holy ice law into ascending as gods. You have no right to say bad things about me, said the upset damask tulip. Tang Wulin just realized that the youngest person was surprisingly the 8-pointed frozen grass. His predecessor was one of the few great soul spirits of the holy ice law Hui Hao. However, the damask tulip gave it a thought when he was challenged on his self-indulgence. A moment later, he heaved a sigh and retracted his purple aura before returning to his companions. Little Blazing is right. This is an opportunity for everyone and we're all acting impulsively. The nature child is definitely alluring to all of us. To be fair to everyone, why don't we explain our abilities and allow the nature child to make his choice? As the king of immortal grass, he chose to make it a fair opportunity for everyone. The 6 great immortal grasses were all looking toward Tang Wulin. The blazing apricot cabbage spoke eagerly, "I'm the blazing apricot cabbage. I was born in the middle Yang Lake of the ice fire polarized eyes. I'm of the highest rank for a fire-type plant. I've told you about the acquired effect after fusing with me. Although I'm not so compatible with your attributes, I must tell you that Tang San once used my predecessor and also the Little Frozen's predecessor to perform the fire-ice body refining to strengthen his body back at the beginning of time. Although we didn't manage to become his soul ring, our predecessors were very helpful to his cultivation." Fire-ice body refining? It was Tang Wulin's first time to learn of this as well. The 8-pointed frozen grass continued, "Yes, that's right. I'm the exact opposite of the little blazing. I was born in the polar ice spring that is the opposite of the blazing yang spring. I'm the ultimate cold immortal grass." The beast known as the Little Black continued to speak, "I'm the Little Black and I'm the black jade divine bamboo that has been cultivating for 160,000 years. I'm perfectly compatible with you. Your martial soul will be vastly strengthened and enhanced upon absorbing me. I'll increase the firmness of your soft side. All your blue-silver emperor vines can be converted into black jade blue-silver spears with unparalleled power. I'll strengthen your martial soul's combat capability on a large scale." The other 2 beasts walked forward separately. The person on the left spoke, "I'm the piercing-gazed dew that cultivated into human form. The holy ice Dolor Hu Hao chose my predecessor and received remarkable abilities to cultivate his spirit eyes and the purple demon eyes. Although I've only been cultivating for 110,000 years, I've already crossed the first hurdle of God's punishment, so I can be considered a beast. I'll be of great advantage to your purple demon eyes if you choose to fuse with me." The final person was also the one with the bulkiest body amongst the beasts. "I'm the earthworm pumpkin. I've been cultivating for 190,000 years. You'll acquire an orange soul ring after absorbing me. Although we're all beasts, only 200,000-year beasts with a cultivation base that is close to the second great punishment will enable you to possess the orange spirit soul. This is the difference in the ranking. I possess the ability of the earthworm's turn, so I'm of the earth attribute. I can sense a piece of extremely powerful earth attribute soul bone in your body. Fusing with me will allow you to have extraordinary elevation in your ability to control the earth and even increase your soul bone skill on a large scale." The 5 great beasts each introduced themselves individually. The damask tulip spoke finally, "They are all correct. Moreover, we're all beasts with intelligence. Choosing any of us to become your spirit soul will provide you with a piece of soul bone when you fuse with us during your next breakthrough to a higher rank. In comparison, I think that the little pumpkin and the little black are most suitable for you. This judgment is completely based on your needs and suitability." Tang Wulin was quiet. He was feeling overwhelmed with the numerous choices at present. 100,000-year soul ring and bone were absolutely the ultimate goals for a soul master. At the moment, there were 6 such creatures willing to become his spirit soul and waiting in a row for him to make his choice. It was unprecedented, but it also gave him a tough decision. "Before I make the choice, will the senior kindly tell me the reason in your high appreciation of the nature child? What's the profound meaning of the nature child anyway?" Tang Wulin asked. Even Atlas Dolor Yunming was incapable of answering him back at the beginning. At present, this seemed the best opportunity for him to get the answer as he was facing these plant-type beasts. The damask tulip was quiet for a moment before he spoke. "The nature child is the seed that is recognized by the great nature." "Seed?" Tang Wulin asked in astonishment. The damask tulip nodded. "Yes, the seed. The seed that is also known as the nature seed. Such a seed has only appeared a few times in history. The nature seed is only born when the nature heart is destroyed on the continent. In other words, the plant which is at its peak in the world cultivates such a seed and entrusts the nature child with it when nature is devastated. The nature child will look for an opportunity to germinate such that nature can breed and populate once again. The nature seed can be found on any plant or animal, but it's the first time we've learned that it appears in a human. At this point, his gaze turned dull. Frankly, we didn't believe that Shrek Academy was annihilated until we sensed the aura of the nature child in you. The previous nature child was the gold tree in Shrek Academy. Its existence had supported nature. Now that I think about it, it has fallen already. Tang Wulin could not help feeling shocked upon listening to his words. The gold tree had already fallen as the damask tulip mentioned, while his nature child had been formed with the help of the gold tree. Actually, he had already accomplished the nature child soul ring even before the gold tree had fallen. What caused nature to be destroyed so incisively? Without a doubt, it was the reckless act of mankind. Tang Wulin felt heaviness on his chest when he thought about it because he was a part of mankind. What's going to happen if the nature seed doesn't germinate and take root? The amorous Dolor suddenly asked. The damask Dolor's expression changed. Then, nature will wither away and it will be an apocalypse in the human world. All living things will gradually die because of the destruction of the food chain. Dolor continent will be on its path to complete obliteration. At the end, nothing will survive. These words sounded ominous, such that the Shrek 7 monsters were all shocked upon hearing this. They thought of the current situation in the continent. The soul beasts were already endangered or extinct, and mankind's technology was developing rapidly. Almost every big city had turned into a concrete jungle while the habitats of other living creatures were being destroyed in the process. If this continued, would the world cease to exist when all the forests on the continent were gone? No one could answer this question. Even the damask tulip sounded like he was exaggerating to attract attention. Yet, such an outcome seemed inevitable. Was the case of the soul beasts being an endangered species not evident? Tang Wulin said, "So, what should I do as the nature child?" The damask tulip shook his head in confusion. "I've been here ever since I was born. All my knowledge about the nature child is embedded in my genes, and it's all that I know. I don't know what you should do as the nature child either, but I'm certain that all of us will help and protect you in the hope that, one day, you'll be powerful enough to revive nature." Tang Wulin nodded gently. A great, new responsibility had just been added to the burden on his shoulders. The damask tulip's eyes were filled with anticipation. "So, what's your choice?" Tang Wulin was quiet for a moment before he spoke. "Since all of you are willing to help me, are you willing to leave with me? I'm fine without any of you becoming my spirit soul. How about being my companions instead? Is that doable?" These 6 people were all beasts with over 100,000-year cultivation bases, so their statuses could be considered as titled Duluos. They were all almighties even without a battle armor. It would be much easier to rebuild Shrek Academy with their help in the future. The damask tulip was stunned for a moment but cracked into a bitter smile soon after. "That's impossible. We're different from ordinary plant-type soul beasts after all. Our cultivation base is only a tenth of the actual because we relied on the ice-fire polarized ice origin energy for our cultivation. Thus, we'll continue to weaken, and our lifespan will be shortened significantly as soon as we leave the ice-fire polarized eyes. It won't take long for God's punishment and destruction to catch up with us. Our cultivation bases will be reduced by then even if we choose to become spirit souls. Hence, we can't possibly follow you unless you're capable of fusing with all of us as your spirit souls." Tang Wulin had an idea in his mind. "I can't do it alone, but I have my comrades. They can infuse their spirit souls as well." "Oh right, I'm sorry that I'm being so selfish." Tang Wulin became a little upset as it suddenly dawned upon him. He realized that if these plant-type beasts chose to become their spirit souls, the beasts would die should something befell them in the future. The damask tulip was stunned for a moment before he turned around and looked at the 5 beasts as if he was deep in thought. A flurry of thoughts were communicated swiftly among the 6 great beasts. Tang Wulin was about to say something when he was stopped by the amorous Dolor's gaze that hinted at him to wait. A moment later, the damask tulip turned around once again and spoke to Tang Wulin solemnly. "The scenario which you've just proposed is not impossible. However, I must first verify a few things. Firstly, as the nature child, will you stay together with your comrades always?" Tang Wulin looked at his comrades before speaking determinedly. We'll certainly be together, if not every second or minute of the way, at least for the restoration of Shrek Academy. The damask tulip spoke. My second question. In the future, how do you plan to manage our ice-fire polarized eyes? The ice-fire polarized eyes is one of the 3 treasured lands of the highest grade in today's world. I'm not sure whether the other 2 still exist, but I can certainly tell you that the ice-fire polarized eyes will be of immense help to you if you wish to revive nature one day. Tang Wulin spoke. You mean that I can borrow the strength from here? The damask tulip spoke. I can't attest for the others, but with your Golden Dragon King bloodline and also as the nature child, you'll certainly be able to. The status of the Dragon King has made the 2 Dragon King spirit souls in the ice-fire polarized eyes follow you, while the status of the nature child has gained our trust in you. Hence, not only are you allowed to borrow the strength of this place, but you can even take it all away. Even the amorous Dolor drew a deep breath upon listening to the damask tulip's words as he looked at him absent-mindedly. Tang Wulin's gaze was distracted for a moment before he pondered a while. Then, he spoke. I can't give you a definite answer for this question right now, but I can tell you that I'll certainly revive nature to the best of my ability so long as I'm able to do so. By then, I'll make the decision of how to utilize the ice-fire polarized eyes. At the same time, as a Tang sect disciple, I'll always abide by the promise made between the ice-fire polarized eyes and Tang sect, and I'll never abuse the ice-fire polarized eyes' strength. Although the damask tulip did not manage to get any written promise from Tang Wulin, he was smiling on the contrary. You've proven yourself to be the nature child chosen by the gold tree. Tang Wulin's promise of not abusing their strength and doing anything rashly had put them at ease. The damask tulip spoke. This is my final question. Or perhaps, I should say it's a condition proposed by us. We hope that when the day comes, as the nature child, you're going to sow the nature seed in some place where you'll plant the seeds from the 6 of us surrounding you. Tang Wulin was stunned for a moment, but he immediately answered, as long as I understand how to sow the seed and the time has come for me to plant the nature seed, I'll certainly do it. That's settled then. The damask tulip walked forward with great strides as his hands began to conjure something in the space above him. Streams of radiance formed into magnificent light striations in the air while the 5 beasts behind him each conjured their own striations. Their consciousness surged into Tang Wulin's mind soon after. Those were precisely the 3 things he promised to do earlier. Please sign the contract. Once the contract is completed, the 6 of us will become you and your comrades' associate spirit souls. We'll never leave or abandon you, and we'll go through thick and thin together eternally. The damask tulip spoke in a resolute and decisive manner. Tang Wulin was overjoyed while the rest of the 4 people from the Shrek 7 monsters were jubilant. The addition of such spirit souls was equal to another few more 100,000-year soul rings. Such a soul spirit could at least provide them with 2 to 3 soul rings with an impressive elevation. Perhaps, their soul skills would not be particularly powerful, but the amplification effect on them would definitely be optimistic. It was the era of endangered soul beasts, so one could imagine how difficult it was to acquire a 100,000-year soul ring. This was simply an unprecedented opportunity for everyone. Under Amorous Dolor's guidance, Tang Wulin bit his finger and squeezed out a drop of blood while reciting the oath to sign a contract with the damask tulip and the rest of the 6 beasts. Later generations labeled this contract the Ice-Fire Alliance. It had a profound influence on Shrek Academy's future and even the history of the entire continent. The contract was completed. The 6 beasts' faces were filled with excitement. They did not seem to be bothered by the fact that they were becoming spirit souls soon. The damask tulip spoke with a smile on his face. Your Majesty, you can make your choice now. Your Majesty? Tang Wulin was stunned. The blazing apricot cabbage was also smiling as she spoke. Certainly. The nature child is nature's willpower. You're the ruler of all plants, so naturally, we're addressing you as such. Now, whom do you wish to choose from among us? Tang Wulin considered for a moment before saying, I choose Senior Damask Tulip. He made the decision so quickly that the 6 great beasts were rather surprised, including the Damask Tulip himself. The Damask Tulip could not help asking out of curiosity, Your Majesty, how did you come to the decision to choose me so quickly? Tang Wulin spoke sincerely. Senior is capable of more than just providing me with an orange soul ring and endless intelligence. The orange soul ring will be very important in augmenting my physical capabilities, so I can have a stronger body as I continue to elevate the Golden Dragon King bloodline in the future. Additionally, you're also capable of evading poisons and commanding plant life. You're very compatible with the skills of my nature child and also my blue-silver emperor, so I naturally chose you. The remaining 5 beasts were disappointed, but they did not say anything else. Tang Wulin's status in their hearts was already completely different after the contract was signed. The damask tulip was beaming with joy. Your Majesty, for a human, you have magnificent taste. I can see that there is still some disparity between your Majesty's cultivation base and rank 60, so I shall attach myself to your body and await our fusion. Your nature child aura is also beneficial for me. Everyone is leaving the ice-fire polarized eyes for a short period of time, so I don't think that will deteriorate too quickly. Please follow me, Your Majesty. As he spoke, the damask tulip turned around and walked toward the ice-fire polarized eyes lakes. The damask tulip stopped when they arrived in front of a large purple flower by the lakeside. They had first seen this flower as they were descending from the sky when they first arrived. It was the largest flower within the entire ice-fire polarized eyes. The damask tulip smiled and spoke, "This is my original body. From today onward, I'm yours, Your Majesty." He raised his hand and touched the large damask tulip as he spoke. The large flower closed rapidly and transformed into a flower bud before it slowly rose and flew toward Tang Wulin. The enormous damask tulip shrank rapidly as it flew to Tang Wulin, while Tang Wulin's blue-silver emperor was moving of its own accord after being guided by the flower. There was a flash of light from the green-gold soul ring. Tang Wulin was struck motionless as a golden shadow immediately appeared on his forehead. It had the form of a seed. The damask tulip was overjoyed. He waved his right hand to guide the tiny, little flower bud from his original body to merge into the area between Tang Wulin's brows. Tang Wulin felt a gush of fragrance radiate through his entire body as an incredibly comfortable sensation sweep over him. The nature seed is located within Your Majesty's soul sea. It's my honor to be able to accompany the nature seed for the time being. The damask tulip had already gone down on one knee as he spoke. His eyes were filled with happiness. Your Majesty, your companions have yet to arrive at the bottleneck of a breakthrough at the moment. Why don't all of us incubate ourselves in your nature seed temporarily? We could greatly elevate ourselves as long as we have adequate time to incubate and grow to Orange Spirit Soul rank. This will be very helpful to Your Majesty's friends as well. The blazing apricot cabbage looked at Tang Wulin with great yearning. Yes, other than Shu Lishi, the rest of Tang Wulin's companions would not be able to break through to the next level yet. Tang Wulin spoke, "That will not be an issue. I think that it's possible that my companion who's absorbing the origin energy immortal grass right now is about to have a breakthrough soon." The damask tulip spoke, "My apologies, Your Majesty. We had some slight reservations when we were helping you and your companions in choosing immortal grass. There's something that we have yet to clarify. The origin energy immortal grass is genuinely one of the highest grades of immortal grass available, but it is highly exclusive. It's possible that friend of yours can't fuse with any other plant-type martial souls in the future anymore after he was infused with one that had origin energy. Thus, none of us is suitable for him. He'll need another one with origin energy to elevate his soul power's strength on a large scale. His soul power will at least exceed the others of the same rank by 40%. Moreover, the origin energy immortal grass can actually transform into his 6th soul ring as long as it accepts him. We'll have to see if the origin energy immortal grass approves of him during the fusion process and is willing to leave behind its foundation to become his spirit soul. I had certainly been unwilling before, but how can I refuse in the presence of the nature child? A stream of white light arose from the spot where the origin energy immortal grass had been plucked and transformed into a white figure. Much to Tang Wulin's surprise, it took the form of a chubby, young man that appeared rather similar to Shu Lishi. Is that form changing? The damask tulip looked at him in astonishment. The origin energy immortal grass sounded a little annoyed as he explained, "My origin energy lineage is different from all of yours. I'm able to take a human form without the need to endure divine punishment after 100,000 years, and I'll only face my first god's punishment when I reach 150,000 years. I can't bear the noise of your constant chattering every day, so I didn't reveal my human figure. Since the nature child descended upon us today, I didn't have a choice but to allow my original body to be absorbed by the little fat boy. What else can I say? Will your majesty please take my seed and count me in as one of your guardians when you're sowing the nature seed in the future? A perfectly round, white seed flew out from his hand and arrived before Tang Wulin as he spoke. Tang Wulin did not even need to exercise control, as a gush of suction force was naturally produced from his forehead that drew the origin energy immortal grass seed into the nature seed. The origin energy immortal grass saluted to Tang Wulin respectfully before merrily leaping into the sky and heading straight for Shulishi. At the exact moment that he landed on Shulishi, an aura burst out from Shulishi's body. It was apparent that he had broken through to a new realm. A red soul ring appeared around his body after he had fused with the origin energy immortal grass. A thread of golden lines adorned the top of red soul ring. This could only be bestowed by a soul beast with a cultivation base of over 100,000 years. Meanwhile, the origin energy immortal grass phantom shadow emerged and swayed behind his back. There was no doubt that Shulishi's sixth soul skill would be so powerful such that he would shock everyone with his buns as a food-type soul master. His soul ring could not possibly be orange gold, but he was not at a loss compared to his companions. This was because Yi Xinglan, Yuan and Yehui, Xie Xie and Yu Jingyu of Shrek 7 monsters had already attained 6 soul rings. There was only Xu Xiaoyan and Tang Wulin who were still at a 5-ringed cultivation base. Shulishi's 6th soul ring was already at 100,000 years. As long as he was willing, the origin energy immortal grass could bestow him with 3 or even 4 100,000-year soul rings. In other words, he would have one more high-ranking soul ring than his companions. Only Xu Xiaoyan and Yu Jingyu could overtake him after they fused with the immortal grass spirit souls before themselves now. On the other hand, Ji Yu was also 6-ringed when she consumed the velvet skyreach chrysanthemum earlier. As the captain, Tang Wulin could not spare any more of these 6 great spirit souls for Ji Yu, as it would be unfair. As the nature child, he could not withdraw even if he wanted. He was the main signee of the contract, so he was afraid that these beasts would turn hostile immediately if he did not choose a plant-type beast to fuse with. Yi Xinglan was smiling gleefully. It was absolutely unbelievable for a food-type soul master to possess a 100,000-year soul ring, and this was his 6th soul ring. Given his cultivation base, Shulishi was incapable of fusing with the spirit soul under ordinary circumstances, as his body could not withstand the process. However, in this case, the origin energy immortal grass was a spirit soul that used its original body as a heaven and earth treasure to nourish and fuse with his body with great effort. He would only need to store a portion of energy for him to continue absorbing in the future when he reached an even higher rank, and then he would not need to worry that his body could not withstand anymore. The group of beasts each revealed their original bodies. The blazing apricot cabbage, the black jade divine bamboo, the earthworm pumpkin, the 8-pointed frozen grass and the piercing gaze dew all flew up and shrunk their bodies before they rushed to penetrate into the nature seed located between Tang Wulin's brows. Tang Wulin felt as all sorts of auras flowed within his body. He was surprised to find that his soul power had immediately increased by 1 rank under the nourishment of their auras. They truly deserved their reputation of being beast-rank heaven and earth treasures. After the 6 great beasts had fused their original bodies into him, their human forms began to fade. Your Majesty, our seeds are in our original bodies. We'll naturally leave them in the nature seed by the time we transform ourselves into spirit souls for you and your companions. There's no need to worry. We'll grow next to the nature seed as guardians when you sow it. May we ask if there are any more heaven and earth that you and your companions need? Tang Wulin turned his head to the side and looked toward his friends. The group was already glowing with excitement. Yu Jingyu took the initiative to speak. I don't. The opportunity to receive a senior as my associate spirit soul in the future means the world to me. We must learn to be content, or we'll be struck by lightning as punishment. The rest of them nodded in succession. Tang Wulin smiled and said, they are right. We shouldn't drain the pool to catch the fish. Even though the ice-fire polarized eyes is capable of growing plants quickly, time is still needed. We can't take too much, and it's better to leave some for those that come after. They were already taking away the 6 great beasts, so there was no other item that was more precious than they here. They would truly be struck by lightning if they were too greedy. The damask tulip's smile was growing wider now. However, he pondered for a moment before he spoke to Tang Wulin. Your Majesty, may I recommend that you try one type of spirit item? If you manage to get its approval, it could possibly save your life in the future once, or perhaps I should say that it will bestow one more life upon you. Oh! Tang Wulin looked at the damask tulip in astonishment. There was no doubt that the damask tulip was already considering all sorts of issues completely from Tang Wulin's point of view, now that he was chosen to become Tang Wulin's spirit soul. The damask tulip walked to the side as the plants parted one after another, revealing a huge rock as black as ink. The rock was striking among so many spirit items. There was a pure white flower with a dash of red growing on the top of the rock. It was so incredibly beautiful that it seemed to compel one's spirit toward itself from a mere glance. What is? Tang Wulin asked in confusion. It's called the Lovesick Heartbreak Red. In reality, its cultivation base has already exceeded 100,000 years, but it will never transform into a soul beast. This is because it has been trapped in its own spiritual world, with no possibility of escape. Tang Wulin spoke in bewilderment. The Lovesick Heartbreak Red? So you're saying that this is the legendary Lovesick Heartbreak Red used by the Tang sect's founder, Tang San, to resurrect his wife, Softbone Dolor. This is the spirit item reputed to be the most lovesick in the entire plant kingdom. The damask tulip nodded. Precisely. Tang Wulin had read about this immortal grass in historical records about Tang sect's founder, Tang San. He did not expect to find it growing here in the ice-fire polarized eyes. According to the legends, this immortal grass was capable of resurrecting the dead and restoring flesh to bare bones, but it could only be possessed by a lovesick person. Those without absolutely undivided devotion could never possibly pluck this immortal grass. Tang Wulin asked, so how do I pluck it, then? The damask tulip spoke, you'll need to think about your beloved, the one that your heart holds most dearly, while you spit a mouthful of blood onto it. Then it will fall off on its own, signifying its approval of you. Otherwise, you can't possibly pluck it, no matter how strong you are. Your Majesty, no harm in trying if there's someone you love in your heart. Without realizing, Tang Wulin turned his head to the side and looked at Gu Yuana sitting cross-legged in the distance. Warmth sprung up in his heart immediately. Their entire history together seemed to flash before his eyes in an instant. He remembered how she would only respond to him when they first met. She was obviously gifted with outstanding natural talents, yet she would always accompany him, staying by his side like an accessory. They came to love each other over time, and things advanced gradually from there. Tender feelings remained entwined around their hearts all the while. It was not until that fateful day when she suddenly began to treat him differently. It was as if she was rejecting him, yet he understood that everything she had done was to protect him from harm. In the end, she was finally moved by his confession on Sea God Lake. They finally got together during the Destined for 3 reincarnation segment. She departed the next day, but she left behind that silver dragon scale together with her heart to accompany him for eternity. He loved her from his very bones, while she loved him deeply as well. The feelings they had for each other were equally profound. When he had to confront the aftermath of Shrek's annihilation, she suddenly appeared by his side and used her body to shield him from that massive explosion caused by the rank 9 fixed soul ammunition. There was no need to constantly talk about love. One would only need to show it when it truly mattered. It was during that one moment when she had appeared in the sky, Tang Wulin's heart melted entirely. After that, he could never possibly let another woman into it for the rest of his life. Even though the love between them might still have to endure countless hardships, he was not afraid. As long as he knew that she loved him, he was willing to walk hand in hand with her no matter what dangers lay ahead. She made him strong. Despite Shrek Academy's total destruction, Tang Wulin did not despair because she was by his side. He would always be strong for her, so he would be able to protect her and their love. Turning his palm away, Tang Wulin struck his chest with the back of his hand. The blood essence in his body surged as he opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood filled with sentimental emotions and deep love onto the Lovesick Heartbreak red. Warm blood flowed along the petals and seemed to stain the large flower. The Lovesick Heartbreak red shuddered gently while the fresh blood spat out by Tang Wulin slowly seeped into the pure white flower, turning it a piercing red. It floated down gently and landed on Tang Wulin's palm. A person filled with the finest, most admirable qualities and love. The damask tulip was overjoyed because His Majesty managed to receive the Lovesick Heartbreak red's approval, which meant an extra life for him. Of course, this was an auspicious event for himself as a spirit soul, because this would greatly increase the chance of the nature seed breeding in the future. When they had been discussing earlier, the damask tulip had only needed one reason to convince his fellow beasts. That reason was very simple and direct. If the nature child could sow the nature seed one day, then they would receive advantages unprecedented in history should they choose to accompany him. In the future, they could become the founders of the Doluo continent's environment. They would only have such an opportunity if they followed Tang Wulin. If the nature seed was not sown, then it would mean that the natural world of the Doluo continent would certainly break down soon. Even if they were to live by the lakeshore of the ice-fire polarized ice, could the eggs remain unbroken when the nest was in ruins? There would come a day when they would be eliminated as well. The nature child had appeared, so they could only imagine how much damage nature had already taken. It was only by working together as one to support the nature child so that he could sow the seeds successfully in the future, that they stood a chance of living in this world for ages to come. Perhaps there was even a chance for them to be just like the eight-pointed frozen grass and accompany His Majesty as he ascended to the divine realm. Thus, they were willing to transform themselves into associate spirit souls for this generation of the Shrek 7 monsters. It would also be highly beneficial to their elevation process if they accompanied the nature child, Tang Wulin. On the other hand, they had a selfish motive too. They had been in this place for thousands of years. Even though ice-fire polarized ice had the perfect environment for them, as sentient beings, how could they not yearn for the outside world? The Ice-Fire Alliance was formed for all these reasons. Tang Wulin stored the Lovesick Heartbreak red cautiously in a jade box. There was no excitement on his face, only tenderness. The damask tulip spoke, "Your Majesty, our mission is already complete. Our original bodies are fused into the nature seed, so our souls can't be separated from them for too long. I'm about to merge back into your body. Please do as you and your companions like, Your Majesty." As he spoke, the souls of the beasts each transformed into a stream of light and infused into the area between Tang Wulin's brows before disappearing. For the foreseeable future, the nature seed in Tang Wulin's body would nurture and nourish them. In turn, they would reward Tang Wulin by exerting a silent influence over him, just like how Tang Wulin's soul power had just increased by 1 rank. Tang Wulin's soul power had already reached rank 50, so he was not that far from rank 60. This has been a great success. Amorous Doluo was smiling joyously. Ever since the great catastrophe dawned on the Tang sect, I've never felt as confident as I do today, that all of you will certainly revitalize the Tang sect in the future. Take a rest over here. We'll leave when Guu has awakened. By that point, the 7-colored miasma driven away by the sword's consciousness had already condensed once again. It filled the originally beautiful valley with bright colors. The Icefire's double dragon souls were still swirling around each other in endless cycles above Guu to protect her. They seemed to be on more intimate terms with Guu compared to Tang Wulin. Tang Wulin returned to Guu side and sat cross-legged on the ground once again. The natural environment here was magnificent, with countless heaven and earth spirit items, so there was no place else more suitable for him to cultivate his blue-silver emperor martial soul than right here. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.